if we decide right now we're going to go in on somebody, like we're just going to like that's going to
let's do it.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
but that'll do triple the numbers. I mean, we see this. I don't even want to like.
Let's do it. Nah, players.
Welcome to episode 12, The Young Man and the Three, presented by 342 Productions. Trey Murphy, Jason Gallagher joining us. Today's guest is Mr. Ben Simmons, with our old friend Cam Johnson joining us. Jason, Trey, what's up, boys?
What's good, brother?
Good to be here.
Trey's pissed because we interrupted his video game to hop on the stream with us.
I will not be streaming, but if people want to play Call of Duty, I will be willing to play Call of Duty with some people. So drop your bios, drop your what's it called? Your gamer tags in there.
Pelicans 4-game winning streak. Trey balling as usual. What's gotten into CJ?
I think he's just being aggressive, and he also told me he was going to go on like a tear coming up soon. He was working on his game a lot, and this was probably like a month ago, and he's just like he's going to lock back in and get his shot back right, because I think a lot of it was he just wasn't feeling good with his jump shot, so he's playing with a whole lot of confidence right now.
Before we get to the interview, and we're going to do a draft a little bit later, I thought it would be interesting for all of us maybe to pick out one thing from the week that we've liked seeing, that we've been impressed by, that has kind of stood out. Trey, you start. Is there something non-teammate related that has stood out to you recently?
I probably have to say Cade Cunningham. He's been hooping. He's been leading his team. Like, it's almost a complete 180 turnaround of what they were last year to what they are now. And that's really due to Cade Cunningham. And hopefully he's the first-time All-Star this year and continues to lead his team to success.
So you stole mine. So now I got to come up with another one. But Cade is 26, 8, and 6 in January, shooting 40% from three, leading the league in assists, 32 last night against the Rockets, obviously. Is there anything different in like his offensive? He's the top 10 pull-up shooter this year. Is there anything different you've seen with him, sort of besides just aggressiveness, that has allowed this jump?
I think it's the shooting part, because people just don't understand how important it is for your point guard to be able to shoot, because then, teams have to go over on ball screens. And then now once they go over, then they're creating rotations, they're creating closeouts, and Cade's been finding his guys. And also I think it helps a lot that he has Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway this year. Like, they've been shooting the ball well. And even when they aren't shooting the ball well, teams still have to respect them. And so then that's when, it just opens up the floor for them.
I like it. I think there's a very high, the All-Star voting closed on Monday, the 28th. I feel like there's a very high chance that he will be in San Francisco. And we may be seeing him on the show at some point. So I guess we'll see. Jason, what about you?
I don't have much on the X's and O's basketball front. All I know is that I saw a clip that went pretty viral, so I'm sure many people have seen the clip, but Chris Paul forcing Wemby's hands on a basketball to force a jump ball is truly a top 5 NBA highlight for me this year. I love Chris. I truly am obsessed with his competitiveness, and we've had him on the show, and he's always one of the top tier guests because of how clearly competitive he is. And that was just a great moment to see. And so I wanted to bring it up just simply to sort of see what Trey thought, and just, sort of broadly speaking, does it feel as intense as it looks to play Chris Paul in basketball?
I went through a whole playoff series with him my rookie year. So, you can just tell just how smart he is during the game. He's just quarterbacking and just manipulating the game. And you can almost just see it, like the chess pieces moving. Also, too, just to be in real time and tell Wemby, no, you go to like, dude, like that's crazy. Like that's actually insane to think of. Like when you're in moments like that, you're just like, all right, I need to jump ball, we need to just figure it out. But like he's just like, all right, I'm not gonna win the jump ball, so might as well just try to get the tallest person in the NBA to try to win the jump ball. So it's pretty smart.
Pretty smart. I agree.
My thing,
Also, too, bro, you can take that poster down from behind you too.
What? It's my decorations.
You can find other things to decorate your little space, man.
Dude, whatever.
he spent a lot of time and money on that thing.
I know. It was a solid $12.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get it back.
I would say,
Okay,
I think that's my question for you, Trey, is you guys play them next week. What was your thoughts on Najee saying you're not honorable? Somebody asked him about you coming on the show and speaking about him, and he claimed that you were not honorable. Do you have a response?
This is one of the first times that people have been able to see a not so honorable situation come to light. And let's just say the balance is probably 90-10, like swinging into Najee's direction for not being honorable. People just don't know about the different situations that have happened in the past 3 years. So, I'm not going to say anything about it.
Fair enough. So we will get to a draft with these guys in a minute. We taped an interview with Cam and I taped an interview with Ben Simmons on last Thursday in LA when the Nets were on their trip there. Went for about an hour 20, sort of getting everything. JJ and I did an episode with him a couple years ago, sorry. And we touched on a lot of new stuff. Brooklyn, his entire experience now. I think it's a really interesting and pretty deep conversation at points. You guys are going to like it.
Cam's going to be an actor.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'm in the Screen Actors Guild.
We've had multiple meetings with
Directors,
esteemed
writers.
screenwriters. The problem is he doesn't know what he wants to. I feel like you don't know what you want to be in.
Yes, I do.
What would you be in? What genre of movie?
Anything. Anything.
Did you ever watch?
Except
You'd
I
be
don't
in a
want to be in
rom-com
like
for sure.
I don't want to be in like a exorcism like movie because then I feel like there's bad juju in that.
I don't think I've seen a mixed person in
Because
a
we
horror
don't do
film.
that.
That's actually a good point.
If you think about it, I've never seen a
Because
mixed
you don't know if
person.
they're going to go early or not.
They're
Yeah,
gonna go
it's
early.
half and
confusing.
half.
Did you?
I think nowadays though, anytime there is like a black person or a mixed person in horror films, like I think they're giving them like more fair shots these days.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're out
Is that
there.
based off any evidence?
It's just a feeling.
Based on what movie?
Did you ever watch The Penguin?
No, I haven't seen
The
it
one
yet.
with okay.
Okay. Has anybody in here watched The Penguin?
Has anyone here watched The Penguin? With the Colin Farrell one in the fat suit?
What's the kid's name again?
Does he look like or not like Victor?
Victor looks like me. The kid looks like me.
He looks exactly.
But I agree. Like it's pretty funny.
We did this app with Sue a couple weeks ago, and all the comments were just like Victor.
I gotta watch it now.
It's funny.
It's good.
I might be Dominican. Maybe we got to check into that. Is he Dominican? I think he's
I
Dominican.
think so.
What's up, everybody? We're here today with Ben Simmons, my teammate, Brooklyn Nets. Great guy, great player, alongside my other good friend, Tommy Alter. So to start, you played in 29 games so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
What has been the key to, and on top of that, I'll add that you seem to be getting back to, the speed explosion that you've always been known for. And it seems to be increasing, with passing time. What has been the key to that for you?
Getting on the floor, being healthy. So last summer, I just dialed into the rehab process and was solely focused on just my health, and then getting back. So for me, it's just taking it day by day. Like you've been through injuries, you know how it goes. So it's like that first game back, like you want to be able to do everything you could do before, run the same way, jump the same way, move the same way. And the reality for me was just it's day by day. Like each day you just keep progressing and you keep doing new things and feeling better and better. So for me, playing in 29 games so far, it's a blessing. Like people don't know it took so much effort and time to get back to just being on the court and being available. that now it's just like every chance I get to get on the floor, I love it. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm embracing it. And just taking it day by day. That's really all you can do.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little more. So like what people don't really understand when you talk about this whole thing is like basketball is such a rhythm game, right? And you miss the large part of, let's say, 2+ years.
Yep.
The large part of it. And I know I've had my fair share of nicks and bruises. That anytime you're out for an extended period of time, that rhythm just doesn't come back automatically. So you have that. And on top of that, when you're dealing with something like a back injury, it just affects everything.
Yep.
It affects every movement, every step, your explosion, and your confidence with movements. So from my point of view, like watching you in your return to play, like I said before, the athleticism is returning to form. The execution is returning to form. But what people don't realize is it just doesn't come automatically.
No.
Like, of course, you got to get yourself, build that capacity back up in a game capacity, get those game reps back. And so, like, I've been asked this question myself in media, like, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? And like, I see somebody that like is going through the normal return to play where you're just going to see him get better and better and better. And to me, it looks like you're finally in a much better place. So as a teammate, that's great to see. And to me, it's just really encouraging for the future. Like I could tell when I first got there is the frustration of like, I don't know what's going on. Last year, like the frustration. But this year, it feels like put everything, that we go through aside, like I feel like the frustration about your health is a lot less. And it's like clearing everything up for your game to just show what you can do again.
Yeah. That's all it is for like, I mean, you get to the finals and playoffs, like it's health, like healthy teams win. So that's just, my focus has been staying healthy, taking care of my body, just staying with the routine. I got a great team around me that have been, that were prepping me for the season. And I work with them still. So that's, for me, it's just time. Like the more I play, the more comfortable I get, the better I'm going to be.
Was there anything this summer from a PT standpoint that you did differently?
I'd say, I think sometimes people start doing too much. I think you just got to get back to the basics and focus on the simple things, stretching, your strength, and not overlooking it. I've had 2 herniations in the last 2 years, so I was trying to play with one last year. That was tough. Tried to rehab from that, and I wasn't able to just because I had the second one, which I wasn't aware of. So for me, kind of having a clean slate, just mentally, reset, refresh, helped a lot. And then just sticking with what I'm doing.
I'm curious, I've talked about this with Cam a bunch with the different, nicks and bruises over the years, but I think you had a version of this last year at the start of the season where you mentioned the rhythm. It just sort of feels like every time you take one step forward, there's 2 steps back. And the mental strain that takes on you when you're basically dealing with something that no matter what is reported in the press, no matter what's reported by the team, publicly, whatever it is, it's your body. And nobody else has any real understanding of what's happening there. Even people who are supporting you, even your friends and family. And so going through this rehab process, knowing something is off, knowing something, you're doing something and it's off, and you have all of this external pressure, and you guys have sort of both faced this in different ways. You have this external pressure to be back on the court. How you kind of learn to juggle that with the realities of, your physical health.
Well, that's an interesting point because like here is like the underbelly of what it is to be like a professional athlete, where we have to deal with these things. You see the performance pressures a lot. You see like, oh, you're scoring, your stats, your wins, you're this, you're that. But what you don't see a lot that players go through is fighting through injuries and being smart for yourself, smart for your team, and how you return to play. And on one hand, it's something to almost wear proudly. Is like adversity hits, how do you respond? Adversity hits, how do you respond? Like we talked about this before, like last season, and it's not the first time I've been through it, but it was tough. I'm in preseason, pulled hamstring, missed the beginning, come back, and it's just one after another. And every time I felt like I was getting into a rhythm, something then took me out. And it's not like it really gets me too down. It's just like, I'm going to attack this, try to get better. And maybe, I hadn't played my best in the meantime. I hadn't done this, I hadn't done that. But to me, I can feel proud of the fact that, like, it's not going to knock me off. It's not going to stop me. I'm still going to chase my dream, and whatever happens, I'm going to come back and attack it even harder. So yeah, there's all that extra pressure, but you have to tune it out, and you have to do it smart for yourself, and you have to give yourself your best chance at future success in those situations.
Yeah, it's a process. It's frustrating, but it's a day by day thing. Like, you gotta. For me, it was stepping on the floor, getting on the floor, playing 16 minutes, playing 24 minutes. Now I'm playing 30 minutes. And the next step will be back to back. So for me, it's just literally day by day. You can't rush it. You can't expedite it. It's just, it is what it is, and you just take it day at a time.
Well, and we've talked about this before, but I mean, the specifics of a back injury. I mean, there's a lot of bad injuries in sports, but I think anybody listening or watching at home who's had a back, you can be 70 years old, you can be 19 years old.
It's the worst.
It just fucking sucks. Like
you're miserable.
You're miserable, and there have been the most fit, the smartest, whatever, who have not been able to find solutions for it, and so maybe you sort of like walk us through, like we've talked about it sort of individually, but like walk us through the specifics of the mechanics of rehabbing that in particular, rather than a hammy, or rather than even a torn knee or a torn Achilles or something like that. It's a pretty this is the rehab process. This is this. You do all the steps. You're good. With the back, like, who knows?
It's a full reset. Like, your back. Yeah.
And talk about while you're like, talk about like the mental toll it takes.
How much time you got?
Like the mental toll it takes when you're searching for answers, and the kind of encouragement or clarity you get when you feel like you're headed in the right direction.
I think this go around with this surgery was a lot different, and I could feel it. Like, the first surgery I had, it took a lot of relief off and pain off my nerve. But the second go around was completely different. Like, I felt like I had a new body. But you go into surgery, have your surgery, and you're doing like the most simple exercise you could possibly do just to get your core going, get your legs firing again, get your glutes, your hamstrings, your core, whatever it is. And you just got to be okay with that process of it, and just rebuilding and understanding that, your body needs time to heal, and then relearn everything, how to use your back, it's so crazy to, speak about also, just because mentally it's so frustrating and draining. Like, there were times last summer where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I might have to stop playing. Like, I had to bring that up in conversation and think about it, just because, like, physically it's tough, but mentally it's just so hard to return from an injury like that and go through the process of rehabbing, a second summer in a row. But like I said, it's day by day. You just take it day by day, and you start seeing that progress and your body, adapting to what you were able to do, and what you want to do in your mind, connecting the two. And I'm finally back here.
When you were having those thoughts, when you're having those conversations with, friends and family and everything like that, what was your, looking back on that just sort of experience on a personal level, what do you think your biggest sort of push was to get you through it?
I just think just my mindset. Like, I can't just stop. Like, I'm not just going to stop, Like, I want to compete. I'm a competitor. I like to play basketball. I like to win. And that was my time to win. I had so many losses in the last 2.5 years. I was like, nah, I need this one. Like, this is that moment for me. It was like, I need to do this. And it's for myself, and just continuing to stay with it and seeing where it goes. Because, at the end of the day, like, if I came back and I wasn't able to do, play or whatever it is, like, that's the answer. You know what it is? Like, at that moment, it's just, you just keep going. You take it day by day and just keep working.
What do you think you've learned on the mental health component? Because, we've all sort of talked about this individually, but you've learned over the course of your career that have been, it's just been sort of the most important for you in terms of blocking everything out and having these goals, whether it's a rehab or, it's noise about a team, noise about a trade, noise about, whatever it may be, things that you can't control.
No, just take care of it, man. Take care of your mind, because I think the biggest thing, and you said this briefly, is understand who you're doing everything for and why you're doing this, right? And when that's clear, like, you know, I personally, for me, I feel like I've been given a gift from God to play this game and to use it to serve in whatever way that may be. And I play for my family and the people that have sacrificed so much to get me to where I'm at. So for me, when I keep those two things in mind, like it makes it so much easier to just block out the noise. It makes it so much easier to wear the ups and downs of a season. Like when you put so much stock into what are they saying about me and what are my stats and wins and losses and this and that, like it wears you down. It just wears you down, period. And it's so much up and down from that regard that like when it's hard for any person to deal with. So when you have those clear who I'm doing this for and why I'm doing this, it makes it so much easier to handle all those things on the mental side and then just have that belief that like I'll come out of whatever challenge that's thrown at me.
I want to talk about the fishing in a second, but do you have a perspective on I was talking with Duncan and Austin Reeves about this the other day about the word we were using was information diet, but just like the amount of things you can consume. And it's not even just about yourself, but just about the team, about, you know, just the sort of chatter, the commentary. Do you have a process that you feel like has changed over time that has allowed you to find this inner peace more easily?
Information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just comes with age, like maturing, understanding what is being put out there, who's saying it. Like not everyone, it doesn't matter. Like majority of the time, people talking shit, like it doesn't matter. Like for me, I kind of just block it out. Like it gets to a point where you've heard everything. It's like, what else can you say? You know, like, so I'm fine with it now. I think just for me, I try to take the good with the good and the bad with the bad. It is what it is. Like people are going to say positive things, bad things, just how you take it. So just being even kill. Like people are going to say bad things, people are going to say good things. Just stay balanced. Because at the end of the day, we got to focus on what we do. And the majority of the time, what people are saying has nothing to do with what we're doing, you know? Or it doesn't affect us, you know, our job. Like we go into a locker room, no one else is in that locker room with us. No one's at the practice facility. No one's at these games besides the fans, obviously. But just keep your circle small and just keep working. That's really what I do.
Yeah, it's funny because like it might have just been last game. We're walking off the court and somebody was saying something in the crowd, and you were like, you remember you were like, man, like they really just get to say whatever up there, don't they?
Oh yeah, I think it was last game, right?
Yeah, you're like, you just got to stand there and like walk away. And
I was like, isn't it crazy? Like a grown ass man can just come to a game to say whatever they want and just like with no repercussions. Like, but it is what it is. It's part of the game.
It's part of our game, right? And it's like, on one hand, it's like, you know,
I said they just abuse us.
They just abuse us. And we just walk out the tunnel. You know what I mean? And
say nothing.
You know, it's part of the game, man, and it kind of makes sports go around, and it's part of it. And we've both seen it in a variety of ways over the years, and it's just like, okay,
some more than others.
Some more than others. And it's just like, okay, like you can't say anything along these lines that'll really get to me.
My favorite thing is like, majority of the time, I feel like most people would actually enjoy hanging out with me. I feel like I'm a fucking nice guy. That's the best part about it.
But they like,
I know myself.
They attack you.
I know myself.
Like,
I think I'm pretty funny. Like I like to have a good time. Like I'm pretty sure we'd get along.
You're also just pretty normal.
I think that's like people don't know that. I don't come on podcasts a lot. I don't post a lot. I don't talk often online. So people don't know. People have no idea.
And that's okay. It's not always for them to know. It's for the people that you need to be with to know.
I think it's interesting with you know, I've thought about this a lot with sort of like fans in general, because it is very different than you go to a play. Even if the play sucks, like you're not heckling the play. You know what I mean? You go to a comedy show. I guess you could, like at a comedy show, they'll come back at you. So you probably shouldn't do that. But like even a movie's different because there's not live performers. But it really is the only live event where this kind of thing is sort of like socially acceptable. And so it's like, how do you juggle? And like, I mean,
I'm curious about this with your perspective. I talk about this with Cam with like football because Cam, like if at a sport that Cam's not playing, he's a fanatic. Like he might be heckling the Steelers himself.
Yeah.
So like there is a level of like, you know, if you take the emotion out of it for those people, that stops everything. You know, that stops the business of it. It stops the stakes of it.
Yeah.
And so finding that line basically of just being like, you know, you guys could sort of say whatever you want, but it doesn't mean that we don't hear it. I guess what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, people will say what they want.
And it's big. And I don't know like how much you want to touch on this, but it's becoming a really like a real thing, especially with like sports betting. Where people
that's ruining
where people
some
are
of these games. Like you have fans not even caring about the game, but like
need
a
could
rebound.
Have a great
like,
game, but it's just like I came up a rebound short, and they're like threatening me.
Well, the parlays, the parlays are an interesting thing because you are, and I'm curious like your guys' specific perspective on this, where you would think with a team, the goal for you guys is to win.
Yeah.
And so especially I would even say with you in particular, you know, if you have 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks, if you score 2 points and the team wins, like that's a successful night.
100%.
But so there's an element of with the parlays, and I could say this as like an objective observer and somebody who, you know, has had deals with these companies too. But at the same point, like there's something that is that feels weird about the fact that like you're getting death threats in your DM for not hitting a parlay when you do everything that you're paid to do.
You did your job and won the game.
Yeah. No, it's just the game's changed. Like since I've been in the league, it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of the joy away just hearing that stuff, but I mean, what can we do? You know,
my main concern is like I don't ever want it to actually infringe on a player safety. That's my main concern. Like people get emotional, say this, say that. They lost their money, whatever. People win, you know what I mean? I just don't ever want it to get to a point where it infringes upon a player's safety.
Yeah. Fishing, when did it start?
When I was young, like, I used to live in Newcastle, New South Wales, right in the water. I used to love just going out in the rocks and just throwing my little shrimp out there, catching like tiny puffer fish. So as a kid, yeah.
You notice when he says it, like his Australian accent comes out a little more. Like, note that.
Just comes back.
Slightly
It comes out a little, yeah. It's still there.
Yeah.
If I go home,
sure.
it's coming out.
Oh, I hear you talk to, I assume, people with the accent and on the phone, and it like creeps in, and it's hilarious to me.
But so I think about, I would never compare the two in general as hobbies because they're extremely different. But like golf, the thing with golf and with fishing is it allows you basically to go away for 5 hours and not
clear your mind,
not look at your phone, no matter what's going on. It doesn't really matter because you're there. Is that something that you feel like you've leaned more into in the last couple of years, or you just always were into it?
I've always been into it. But like every summer, every time, and whenever I would go to Miami, I'd always just go to the fishing store, buy like 3 rods, get all the tackle, all the gear, and just fish off the back of the house because usually I'd be on the water. And then I'd say like about a year and a half ago, I built a boat.
There it is.
A year and a half ago. I built a boat. So I built a boat, and it got delivered last summer, and I just loved it. Like exploring, being on the reef, diving.
Give me some of your best fishing spots and some of your best catches.
So like during the summer, like after rehab or workout, we'd go straight to. Did I say it again?
You did that on purpose,
dude. You have not done it except when you're talking about fishing.
We'd rip it to Bahamas, which is like hour and a half. There you go, hour and a half away. So we'd go to Bahamas and just fish for the rest of the day, catch massive mahi, see sharks, dolphins, everything, like every kind of fish.
I feel like I need to tap into this fishing.
I think this would be huge for you.
We're gonna have to, bro.
It's my piece.
Can you do it during the season? Do you have time?
I actually we played in Miami. I went fishing. I took Keon. We went fishing, sort of like a 7 or 8, 9 foot shark, huge. Caught a bunch of tunas. Yeah. I
feel like this is a perfect hobby for you.
Yeah, I have very limited fishing experience.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went fishing in this little lake, like in Pittsburgh area. All I remember, I was a kid. All I remember is like I accidentally hooked my mom, So that wasn't good, but I think from my,
I would say so.
That's common though. Like,
I was about to say, it's really,
common.
really common, like a lot easier than you think for people who don't fish. And then I had one crazy story when I was a teenager, like an early teenager. We were off the coast of North Carolina. We went shark fishing, my family and I, and some extended family, and we got caught in this crazy storm. For sure, all 10 of us on a boat thought we were goners. A boat's getting hit by lightning. We're getting thrown around. Like, people are just throwing up everywhere. Sorry for but this is what happened. And like,
that's part of the adventures, though. You got to go through the storms.
Crazy, but we caught a lot of shark, and the shark actually tastes pretty good too.
What was your craziest storm?
I don't eat shark.
It was good.
My craziest story?
No, storm.
Storm?
Like, yeah.
Oh man, the first day we got the boat. Usually you're supposed to, like, get it going, run it around a few hours, whatever it is. We lost like 3 engines. The fuel gauge was off, so it was reading like 40%, but it was really at 0%. And we were deciding if we wanted to go mahi fishing. And as we're deciding if we want to go mahi fishing, there's a fuel dock right next to us, and we're like cruising through. And I'm like, nah, let's just go home. And we run out of gas like right in that moment. So if we would have gone out, we'd have been, I don't know, might not be here today.
You've been stranded. What do you do in that situation? Is there like a protocol?
Coast Guard, you got
call
EPIRB, you got all the safety devices.
Like satellite phones?
You gotta embrace it, man. Like,
it's just real.
That's the adventure, like getting on the boat and just going.
So you didn't have any, were you freaking out?
No, I was good. I don't like that. Doesn't really scare me? Like,
Are you a proficient swimmer?
I'm a Cancer. I'm a water.
Yeah.
Son.
See, I'm not a great swimmer, so I would have been like, oh man,
you gotta
I can swim.
That's a.
It does get scary
man.
if you're diving. That's a little, like, you just never know what's going to come out.
True.
Sharks.
I wanted to ask you about the NCAA a little bit, because I feel like you were very ahead of the curve in sort of speaking out about a lot of the stuff there. And everything has changed since you started speaking out about it. You made a movie about it when you were in school, or like right when you got out of school. What's sort of your perspective on everything now, like looking back, and like, do you feel like they made the right moves?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the right move. I don't really understand it also. I don't know how much guys are getting paid. I don't know how it's monitored. I don't know all that stuff. But I do think that
because his brother's in
everything, right? You know all that?
I know a lot of it.
A lot of it. Okay, yeah. But I do think players need to be compensated, or there needs to be a way for them to get the money. But obviously they're getting paid now. So yeah, I mean, if you're gonna use, players' image or their likeness, then obviously you gotta pay them.
Just to cover some of those bases. So the changes are now they're kind of, so you had the NIL, you had the transfer portal. After I left school, those were two kind of landmark things where it allowed so much more player movement, which then opened up more opportunities for players to make money through that NIL stuff. Downsides obviously are that, like, it creates like a
people moving often, right?
You could be like a free agent every year. So imagine like you sign with the team, but it's only like a 1-year deal, and you could just hit free agency immediately the next season, just leave them. Like, you know what I mean? It's basically like that, where you can't do multi-year stuff. So it's not perfect, right? It's really messed up actually, but at least right now it's benefiting. It's always been messed up, but at least now it's benefiting these players.
Right.
And a lot of them are minorities. So like from that perspective, like I think of it as a win, but there's still so many steps to go. So now you're hearing, some revenue sharing stuff being thrown around. I think VCU came out and said that they're going to pay players like off rip. So NIL stuff aside, all this aside, like $385,000 a season, which is huge. Now, I'm not sure exactly the details around it, and there's probably going to be a lot of controversy around it, but it's a step. But these guys are making legitimate money. And there's issues because I think there's collectives where like donors come together and pool their money for, to pay players. And there's definitely issues with that. I think the NCAA is taking steps to kind of move that back to the schools' hands a little bit. But there's probably issues with players, reporting like they're supposed to get this, but they don't see the money. They have to track down the money. So it's definitely very messy. But dude, compared to the money we were getting, I'm talking about my.
Hold on, I wasn't getting paid.
Look. Relax. I'm talking about our rent check. And our rent check had me thinking, I was like, man, this was your freshman year where we've got costs of attendance. So I played a season of college basketball before costs of attendance. And for Pitt, when I was there, it was an extra $3,200 a year, $1,600 per semester, which was basically for like, the cost of being a student in school. Like, you have to eat and you have to get this and get that and your daily necessities and whatnot. And like that $3,200 to us at the time was like, oh my gosh, we got money now. You know what I mean?
Do you have any, I feel like this is a thing that happens it happens honestly with older pro players in every sport too, with salaries raising, where there's a level of like bitterness, but you're kind of just like
No, I don't ever want to be one of those old heads hating on the young dudes, man. That's the worst.
On the money side, I don't think I'll ever be that.
Never.
But I'll be one of the. I saw like a Steph and Bron and them talking about we're not gonna like. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be like, man, it wasn't like back in my day. I'm gonna be that guy for sure, just for the fun of it. But when it comes to the money, like no, like I have little brothers in college basketball right now that are benefiting off of that, and I love that for them.
Yeah,
and I love that for the kids. Like, dude, in everything that ever happens, like the previous generations paved the way for the next one. So like we make so much more money than NBA players did even 10, 15, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It's because of their success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like whatever we do to push the game forward for the next generation, like I'll never have any bitterness on that end. So in terms of the college stuff, no, like I really like the fact that these players can, and it's also because like I landed on my feet. You know what I mean? And I was able to play in the NBA and make money that way. That probably makes it easier to have this perspective. But no, I'm really glad that guys are able to kind of.
I can't picture Ben being an old head rant. He's just going to be on the boat.
I'll be on the boat fishing, man.
The second he's done, we're not going to reach
off the grid. I'll be in Queensland somewhere.
Yeah, you're going to see him every 2 years. He's going to just pop up with like some crazy
hair longer, beard longer.
Yeah. Accent back in full form.
Accent is back, man.
What do you guys both feel like from your rookie year on, you wish you knew your rookie year about the league that you know now?
I think some of the, what's called being green. I think sometimes being green in that way, like not knowing, is actually kind of a good thing. Yep. Where that you're just so hungry and you're willing to do anything, and really just scrap for it any way you can is being a good thing. I wish I could have a little bit more knowledge about the business of the NBA and how it works with player movement, team movement, and I think that might reduce a little bit of anxiety to an extent. One thing you realize after being in the league for a couple years is like being in the, like, you'll never be able to guarantee where you're playing. And at first it's like, your first city that you're in, you're like, I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't know. And it causes a little bit of like unrest. And you see like the first time you have a teammate traded that you've been close with or a teammate waived that you've been close with, it's like, dang, like they're like, you've never experienced anything like that before.
It's like someone died.
Yeah. You just don't see them. They're just gone.
Yeah.
So it kind of tugs at you a little bit. And so like, I don't ever want to like desensitize myself completely to that. Like you're human. It's okay to feel those things, but like, just a little bit more knowledge of how those things occur and that like it's gonna be okay. Like the person is gonna be okay. Yeah. Would have been helpful.
I don't really have anything on that. I like like not knowing is like a beautiful part of coming into the league because you just have no idea. You just want to play basketball and play well and do everything you can to win.
Yeah.
If you know too much, then things start to change.
Yeah. Actually, I got another one. Because it kind of goes into performance side of things is obviously I played a lot of years in college, and in college you have a lot less games, a lot more practices in between, and those practices you're playing live. And as a shooter, as somebody who like thrives off of being in a shooting rhythm, and my first year in the league, like I was shooting really well to start, and then I kind of middle of the season, it's the rookie wall, and everybody's like, you're gonna hit the rookie wall, and I'm like, I'm like 23 years old, like I'll be okay. Yeah. And it hit me. And the toughest part about that was like, when you're in a shooting slump, you don't have live practice reps to get yourself out of it. So it was like, I was like, how do I find a way to get myself back in like a shooting rhythm? And so over time, I've gotten a lot better at that. But my rookie year, it was like throwing me through a loop. And then my whole like life was just moving so fast. You're city to city. I'm forgetting what hotel room I'm in on the road. And I'm just like, man, this is kind of crazy, isn't it? Like we're really, this is a really high pace. And then you have to go out there and perform on top of that. So a little bit more knowledge in terms of how that was going to transpire. But like, that's knowledge that you can only gain through.
How did you figure that out with the working yourself out of it? What'd you do?
Oh, like how am I better at it now?
Yeah.
I think I just have a lot more technical approach to shooting, where like I go through my checklists and see, okay, is my shoulder not in the right place? Is my balance, is the way I'm kind of moving through my shot, my release, where are my eyes? Am I getting sloppy with mechanics? So I really just try to unwind the mechanics of shooting and to build it back up and then try to jump on any problems. I watch a lot of film and I'll just like, for shooting purposes, I'll just watch jump shots. So I'll take...
You feel like watching your highlights helps a lot?
Watching your highlights helps when you're in a slump, for sure. But when I'm diagnosing, I will watch every shot. Because I want to know, like, visually, I know the feeling of how I shot it and how I felt when I shot it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know the visual component of what it looks like.
Right.
So you look at, like, the other day, for example, against the Blazers, I missed a handful of ones that I felt like I shouldn't make. I go back and watch them to see, like, okay, where, from a visual standpoint, I know how they felt from a visual standpoint, like, where can I be better? And it's like, okay, maybe a little bit more dip, maybe a little bit, you know, more focus, hold the follow through. And it's just little kind of mechanical things, but I'll go through that and then I will take the mental notes and apply them to whenever I'm shooting, you know, warm up in a lot of cases or practice reps in a lot of cases to get myself back on track.
Will you have games where you burn the film? Where you're like, I'm fucked
Absolutely. I'll never watch that.
I'm not watching that.
And then like I'll have days, like my parents, biggest supporters in the world, do everything for me. And they chase around my other brothers and watch their games. And I have had plenty of games in my career where like my parents will be at one of my brother's games and somehow they'll call me, ask if I'm okay, say like, I'm about to watch the game. I don't know what happened. I'm like, don't even watch it. There's been a couple of those. I'm like, don't even watch it.
I have a question. I feel like we've talked about this, but I'm curious both your perspective. Getting back to the fan thing for a second.
Yeah.
Do you sort of understand the perspective of fans who are frustrated by like player movement in general and the fact that like you grow up a fan
in terms of trades and
trades, even free agency, even the fact that just like you know, not even getting into specifics this year or anything like that, but it's like there's a lot of stars who are here one day and then, you know, they're gone the next, and it basically becomes harder to, unlike, like, say, a quarterback in football, where it's like, you're going to be a Joe Burrow fan for 15 years. It becomes harder to keep your sort of like people that you sort of like come in with.
I understand it. Like, as a fan, you want to. Actually, I kind of don't, because I didn't grow up in the States. So for me, I'm like, I watched my dad playing.
Yeah.
Like I had players I loved watching, but I'd never had a team. Like I enjoyed watching Braun. I enjoyed watching D Wade. Like when they were together and Chris Paul, that was my team. But when Braun left, I was
not a Heat fan.
I wasn't like, I'm not a Heat fan. I'm not from Miami. I'm from Australia. So for me, it's a little different. So
not really though, because I feel like that's you compared it to football. Football is a much more, you're a fan of an organization, of a team, and the players come and go, and you always love that team.
Yeah.
Basketball, I mean, there's a lot less people on the court. You see our faces, our player movement is a lot more just as a league. It's just how it works naturally. And so you have people that are diehard fans of teams, but you have a lot of fans of the game who are fans of players and will follow that player. And I think that's okay. Like, it's something that we embrace. And it's just like the movement is part of the game, and it is what it is. And you know, when you the Bosch, Wade, Braun years in Miami, like you were watching probably every game, playoff game, excited. And like my little brother was like a huge Thunder fan as a kid. Like, he's not a Thunder fan, like, you know what I mean? But we were from Pittsburgh. There's no local team, so it gave him something to really cheer for. And I think it's natural, and I think it's okay.
I think it's interesting. I mean, you've talked about this publicly. We've talked about it all the time. But like when Cam went from Phoenix, when Cam and McHale went from Phoenix to Brooklyn, that was a family. It was a family in Phoenix. And then, you know, it's Kevin Durant. Like you're gonna do what you got to do. Yeah, it is what it is. But at the same point, it's like you're ripped out of your one day. Yeah, you're there. The next day, you're ripped out of your family. And so it feels like some of the, even when you guys are both sort of talking about the having people understand the business side of things more. Some of the nice things, even about doing things like this and doing these conversations, is understanding like it's a business on both ends. And so if that's going to happen to you, sometimes you got to wake up one day and be like, I got to bounce.
I got to go.
You know, I got to bounce. And I think that is a thing that you can't expect You can't expect just one side to play by certain rules and the other side not to.
Yeah, like that's something that people don't really take into account. Like people watch trade season, let's call it trade season, where NBA trades are going down. Like they grab their popcorn and like, where's such and such going? Like they mock trade everything to the moon and back.
While we're sitting here like,
and it's just
looking
like,
at our phone.
and it's just like, I don't think they fully realize that like you're playing with our lives. Like you're moving us from one side of the country to another. We have our own families. We have our own lives. We have our own setups, our people that we're comfortable with around us. Like the NBA does, you know, I guess you could say pay us well enough to deal with these sorts of problems, but they're still like, it doesn't just, you know, your stressors, your issues.
Human. It's human to
you're human. You're going to feel those things. So it's just really funny to us. We talk about this in the locker room. Is like people really like, they don't really understand what comes along with being traded. Like your whole life, you get a whole new team. You're just expected to go wear a new jersey 2 days later, 3 days later, and figure everything out on the fly.
I've never experienced it because I drove like an hour and a half to
it's just like,
Brooklyn. So
I'm
I was
moving
like,
up the road.
oh, okay, down the road. All right, here we go. But yeah, it's a lot. We deal with a lot. We get paid well, yeah. But as humans, it's a lot. It's toll.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about your perspective because you just have become a sort of much more introspective. I mean, you've always been this way to a certain extent, but I would say, you know, everybody in your life would agree that you think about a lot of things going back to, you know, your high school and college days differently, probably now with time and with age. And so when you look back at Philly, you're close with Joe. You guys, you have a good relationship, but as you look at the sort of like experience overall now, as you're sort of, you know, reaching these different stages of your career, what are the things you kind of think about if you were to put like a capsule on it?
In terms of what?
Your positives from the experience.
Yeah, your summary of findings.
Yeah, the things you would have done differently.
Like for me, going to a city like Philadelphia was like I'm from Melbourne, Australia, went to Louisiana, like completely different places. I was like the fans, like I didn't appreciate the fans enough. Like the fans of Philadelphia are incredible. Like you always want to play for a team that has a good fan base, whether they're booing or whatever. You just want fans to care. You want the arena packed. So just having that experience in Philadelphia was amazing. Like I'm so grateful to have played there and got to experience the city of Philly and know what it feels like to, you know, play for a team like Philly and playing a winning team. Like winning in Philly is different, you know, like there's no place like it.
I was at those games.
That
place was
it's just
good
insane.
Teams, good teams.
Yeah.
Like championship caliber teams.
Yeah, we had a chance to win a chip. So I think I'm just grateful to have that experience and know what it's like to, you know, be a part of an organization in a city like Philadelphia, and then just taking that and trying to apply it to, you know, Brooklyn, where I'm at now, and just embracing what it is now and knowing it's not Philadelphia, but, you know, we're here for a reason and we're trying to do everything we can to make an impact and, you know, win games and build Brooklyn up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And from my perspective, it's like Brooklyn and Phoenix are completely different markets. And so it's like learning to find the positives of playing in a city like Brooklyn and just kind of embracing whatever comes with it. And I feel like I've definitely taken strides in that.
Did you guys have a rivalry with Philly as a, I mean, there wasn't a professional basketball team, but it was like, was there a Pitt Philly rivalry?
To an extent, yeah.
Or is it too far?
Like, it's far enough. It's 5-hour drive, so it's plenty of space in between. But like, it's funny because, you know, people think Pittsburgh and Philly are mad close when they're really not.
Was that like 3 hours?
5.
5?
Yeah. At least I'm from the west side of Pittsburgh, so maybe closest, you know, east side ended, west side ended.
TJ is from Pitt, right?
Yeah, he's just from right down the road from me. Philly, like, I wouldn't say like if you grow up in Pittsburgh, you're not like going to be a Sixers fan because it's in the same state, you know.
Tell him about
like
TJ.
Steelers,
Tell him about TJ in high school. Because we haven't done a show with TJ yet because we haven't been in Indy. Just talk about
TJ McCollum in high school was wicked. So like I said, he graduated. His senior year of high school was when I was in 8th grade.
Okay, yeah.
And my older brother was a junior his senior year. So I played 1 year of high school with my older brother. My older brother played against TJ for 3 years. And they're in the same section. So they played each other plenty of times per year, playoffs, whatever. And I don't know if they like the TJ scenes were hard to beat. Like they were nice. And they were all like small white dudes that TJ's dad was the coach. They picked up full court, pressed you. Like they could run all day. But the funny thing about it was TJ was like an elite scorer. His senior year, I think he averaged 37.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about like he's pulling up from half court. And his shot looked different back then. It was lower. Yeah. But he would like, wherever he got the ball, he was probably shooting it. And he had the same craftiness to his game. It's just like he was a crazy 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
It's so funny because the TJ McConnell that we know in the NBA, like amazing that he has tailored his game to be such an efficient and effective NBA player. But like the TJ McConnell in high school was just different.
I'm gonna check his highlights out. He's the best. I love TJ.
It's amazing that 9-footer is like unguardable.
Yeah.
Now,
but he doesn't shoot threes anymore. When it's like, as a kid, you knew, like, I was a kid. I was like, this dude, all he does is shoot threes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about 3 of your teammates who have a certain level of intensity. You all know, 3 you guys know very well. We talked about Chris before and just what he brought. And then even just you with JJ, it's funny being in LA with this experience. Yeah. I mean, even where that is from when you first met him. And then also just with Jimmy. And another guy that you're close with, but just like your experience with these guys that are going to be on your ass and are, especially when you're coming into the league, when you're you don't know anything, you're in the spot where you're sort of like learning on the fly, and you have these people that are going to just press you and be on you and kind of instill what you need to know to be a professional inside of you.
It's important. Like for me, if like having JJ and playing with Jimmy, like personally, I love teammates like that. Like I want him to tell me, yo, stop bullshitting, stay aggressive, whatever it is. It's just a part of the game. Like you want to be with competitive guys, and playing with Jimmy and JJ the same way. They just want to win. So they're just trying to get the best out of you the way they know how. They're a little intense, but like it's what you need sometimes.
Do you seek out like psycho teammates? Like JJ would call them sickos. But just like
sickos.
guys like that who just are going to be, maybe if you don't even want to be around them all the time, but you know that they are like ceiling raisers.
Yeah, the thing is with these sickos, like the best, most effective ones are the ones that have truly earned it. So like you talked about Chris Paul, he'd get on you and he's yelling at you, stomping his foot, doing whatever. And it's like he earned that right. So like if some random teammate, any old teammate talk to us that way, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But like the sickos that have really earned that right and like proven that time and time again, you know what I mean? Like you respond to it different. Yeah. So yeah, to a certain extent, like a lot of these guys are just high IQ, highly experienced, highly competitive guys. So if those are the 3 things that defines a sicko.
And I also think it's like certain like teammates believing in you. Like if you got certain guys that know what you're capable of, they're going to push you and demand that.
And hold you accountable.
So
I was going to ask you that about vets too. Just like, I mean, on a broad level, like what you think makes a good teammate.
I mean, everyone kind of leads in different ways. I'd say selfless, like guys that just want to compete and win. Like that, we all have one end goal, and that's to win. So if everyone's applying, what they need to do to win, that's, to me, is a good teammate. Guys that push each other, embrace each other. There's so many different ways and so many different teammates I've had that just guys lead in different ways. But for me, it's somebody that pushes you and expects the best from you all the time.
Do you have guys outside of the people we just mentioned that sort of like vets who maybe are sort of unexpected that have sort of stood out in that way?
One's like even KD. Like KD expects guys to play hard. Like you might not hit every shot, you might not play your best game, but he wants you to play hard. And we saw it when we played them in Phoenix. when we beat them,
we did.
He wanted his teammates to play hard, and I could see it in him, which is like, he's a competitor. He wants to win. But that's just how he is. Like that's when you push somebody and you expect the best. Like I want him to shoot every time he's open. Like I think he's going to make it every time. And he turns down a shot, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'll be like, there's a reason. I'm telling you, there's a reason.
When he's on me, yo, attack the rim, like go at him. Like I love that. That's to me is a good teammate.
Yeah. I think a big key to it too is like there's like a be yourself component, like you said, like lead in your own example. And obviously there's times when you have to push your comfort zone and push the boundaries of that and what a team or environment needs for you. But at the core of it, like be who you are. Lead in the ways that you know how and start there. You don't have to radically change your behavior overnight. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of teammates, that like really successful teams are full of guys that have high understanding of self and are able to bring their best self to work every day.
We've talked about this a lot, and it's a little bit of a sort of broad question, but like there's all this stuff about like face of the league and like what the sort of like what the league needs once Bron and Steph and all of these guys once they leave. And some people, I'm actually curious your perspective on this. Some people are like the face of the league can't not be American. They're like, they say that because people will bring up, Wemby or something like that, and they'll say like, no, they have to be American. Do you even care about this conversation? Does it even matter?
No. To us playing, no.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
And it's funny because like you just didn't even mention the 2-time MVP or back-to-back
100%.
MVP, right?
100%.
It's like, 'cause he's not American. Like if he was American, would we be talking about him more?
Yeah.
Like if we're being real, probably. But he don't care. You know what I mean? So the guys that are actually playing, like we want the business of basketball to be in the best place, I'd say.
Yeah.
And then two, we want the NBA as a league to thrive. But like there's so much of that rhetoric that goes around the league that we just don't care about.
It's just it's what's funny. I'm not surprised by this answer, but what's funny about this is it just kind of shows you that so much of the discourse is like talking in circles to a certain extent. It's like having a conversation about a thing that is just it's like happening off to the side.
Yeah, it really doesn't have much impact on our day to day.
No.
Or how we're going to show up, or how we're going to play, or how we're going to conduct ourselves.
Did you ever do anything with Dyson Daniels?
No.
Did you play? Have you played against him yet?
Yeah, we played them early in the season, right? Yeah, let's say first game. Yeah.
We did an app with him and Trae a month ago or so. We were just talking about what he learned in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, I didn't realize. I mean, I learned it when we were sort of talking about it with him beforehand, that he was like a football player too, and rugby player.
Like Australian football?
Yeah.
Real footy.
But we were just talking about like like how Australia just like creates like motherfuckers.
Oh yeah. No, you gotta be tough.
All, and you like look at all the dudes and they're all like fucking kind of messed up in the head a little bit.
Cool to get down and dirty.
Delhi's one of them.
Why is that?
Bogut, rough guys.
Why is that?
Just grit, like how we play. Like,
but why?
I'd say because we don't have the athleticism that you guys have over here. And we're not trying to like dunk on everybody. So physically you have to be like, you have to be okay with knocking each other around, pushing each other, hitting each other. And also we play Australian football. That's like the first sport you play when you're growing up in Australia. So you're already tackling people.
Did you play?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you play rugby?
Huh?
Did you play rugby?
I played rugby. All the parents were asking for my birth certificate. This massive kid just tackling these little kids.
No pass. It's just like, is this fair?
Did you like it?
But it's tough. Yeah. Yeah. You get to tackle people, like just smash people.
Did you play cricket?
I played a little bit in high school, but not.
That's crazy.
Cricket wasn't really my
Okay,
my
rank
sport.
the sports.
Basketball, AFL, cricket.
Rugby? No rugby.
Rugby's, it's cool.
So
but AFL's a whole different game. So when you talk about AFL, it's like an oval, 4 posts. You're kicking the ball.
And what position did you play?
I was ruckman. So
Explain
ruckman, you got to be fit. Ruckman, yeah.
What do they do?
So
Like
you're
a
pretty much
lineman?
the tall guy who's like tapping the ball out. You're, it's the ugly stuff.
Are you getting lit up all the time?
Like hit?
Yeah.
I was a bit, like I'm bigger than most of the kids, but there was some kids that were
So
tough.
you were the one hitting people using what you're saying.
That's where I get that dirty play from, bro.
Yeah, the chicken wing. You love the chicken wing.
It's from the
Hard
AFL.
screens, like it's just a way to.
Would your hands get fucked up? Is that like why you couldn't? At a certain point, you just basically stop doing it because you couldn't do this and basketball.
Nah, it wasn't my sport. Man, I'm not running around in little shorts, sliding in the dirt, man. For me, I was
Just decided.
Australia, mate.
I think basketball is just a better option for me.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
My
it worked
mom
out
wanted me to
pretty well.
play. I think I could have played pro. That's better. Yeah.
Knowing very little about it, I feel like you could have played.
I think I
I'd
could
say.
have. Yeah, I could have done well. Just not. Didn't love it.
I feel that. It resonates.
Love the game though.
Was
Do
there
you watch it?
No,
You don't have a team?
it's tough to keep up with.
You don't have a team like a pro team?
Essendon Bombers.
I'm a Magpies
Essendon.
fan.
No, you're not.
I am.
You're an Essendon fan.
I'm a Magpies
No, you're
fan.
not.
He's been
Magpie.
talking about him all week.
You're a Bombers fan.
Is there anyone around the league whose vision, the court vision, and just sort of like passing ability, not like makes you jealous, but you like watch them and you kind of bug out?
No.
You
Okay,
know?
who are you? Give me your,
Jokic is Jokic.
Give me your top 5 like playmaker,
Passers?
passer, vision guys.
Luka, not in order.
Yeah.
Luka, Jokic. I'm trying to think who. CP3. He's crafty. But like the Lukas and Jokic, they're seeing stuff before it happens.
Yeah.
Like there's certain passes that they're just
Who do you have in here?
Trae Young.
Trey.
And I really think Cade has been an elite distributor of the ball.
I haven't
this year.
seen him enough in terms of that.
Like he's been an elite ball distributor this year.
He's
and
had
it's
an amazing year.
propelling them. Like
Yeah.
it
He's
seems
playing
like
well.
it's an improving like
Ty's there, I think. Ty's in that conversation.
tie for sure.
Yeah.
He does it so different than everybody else.
Another one is Westbrook.
I love playing with. I love the lineups that I was out there with him in FIBA because it was just like you run and then you turn and the ball
Right
is-
there. Yeah.
Why Westbrook?
I just think he just sees the game differently. Like there's a certain like when you know somebody can pass the ball well, like there's a certain arc or arch to the pass, like just the way they see the game is different. Like some guys won't throw it's crazy. Some guys won't throw certain passes because they're not sure if it's gonna get through or it's,
Oh, absolutely.
like it might be a simple pass. Like guys are just unsure, like I don't know. Like, but those guys that make those passes, like typically ends up in as a good play.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was curious about because this has been obviously a thing you've been, incredible at since you were in college, but since
Yeah.
you came into the league, and it didn't feel like it took you very long to figure this out.
Yeah.
But there's a confidence in just sort of the the physical pass, but then also the seeing 3 plays ahead, and you're able to do that from just sort of like multiple different positions on the floor. And so, how much of that, even as you're sort of like adapting and changing to the league, do you feel like you're changing and crafting, and how much of that is just like this is instinctual?
I think a lot of it is instinct, but also reps. Like I enjoy fucking up on a play, not in game, but like practice wise. Like I'll throw some crazy passes just to get a feel, see what it looks like if I try to throw a pass. Like we get
See how your teammates respond to different passes
Yeah.
thrown. Like there's definitely like you understand guys.
like
on your
guys
team.
are starting to run more now. They're like, oh shit, like he can make this pass.
Yeah, it's
if I just
coming.
cut like right here. I'm like simple bounce pass. Like it's just time, like reps and playing
Yeah,
with
like
each
the
other.
first 3 games this year, there was probably like 3 or 4 back doors that we were just like this close to like easy bucket. I mean, like it had to have been a great pass and whatever, or I dropped it or whatever. And I'm like we'll get like we've gotten
one last
better.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
Back door.
And then like it's fun. It's cool to see like when I'm out there in lineups with him is like, especially in a transition setting, he's orchestrating, right? So he's just like pointing, directing, going in certain places. And a lot of this happens like as I'm running, like he'll notice me running the sideline early, and then he'll act like he's distracted by something. Let the defense settle. And by the time the defense, literally just an
One of
acting
those.
job. Literally just an acting job. And by the time defense settles, like I'm in the corner wide open. Literally did this last game. And unfortunately I
He
missed that
actually
one.
got mad at me last game too because I didn't throw a kick ahead. And then I had to give him
Yeah,
2
because it was
more.
something he didn't like. It was like I had the biggest, slowest guy on the court guarding me, and I'm like, that this is, that, like I know you see it, and then he went the other way, and I was mad for sure. I let him know.
Do you think as I would just for conversation purposes as a shooter,
Yeah,
if you're playing with him, if you're playing with, you haven't done this, but just you're playing with Ty, you're playing with Jokic, you're playing with guys like this who have eyes in the back of their head. What is your timeline in terms of like even talk about practice versus game reps? Like, do you have to fuck up a couple times to
Yeah.
get it right?
for those higher risk passes, absolutely. So you understand like he's willing to throw it, and like these are the spots that he's throwing it to that I need to be able, be ready for. And it's funny because You know, it's like my whole like pre-draft process and like throughout my time in the league, my parents were always like, man, like I wish you could play with Ben Simmons. Like, that'd be great. Think about all the shots you could get. Like, I wish you could play with Ben Simmons. That'd be great.
That's what JJ used to say that
Yeah.
about those teams in Philly, because there would be periods. There would be you guys would go on stretches. Like, I remember there was that win streak you had at the end of, might have been your rookie year. They would go on these stretches where it would be basically him and 4 shooters, and it was just like
space, and it's just like,
and it was kind of like whether the shots went in or not, you knew they were going to be open.
Yeah.
You knew it was like somebody was getting, it was like Bellinelli, Ilyasova.
That was fun. That was a fun time playing with those guys because their IQ was high too. They were vets, so like they see the game, they know their game, and they know if they get open slightly, they're getting a good pass. You know, so
one we have to acknowledge too is Braun, obviously.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's another one. That's he did.
Yeah,
You say with him with everything.
Stop at 5 for sure.
Yeah,
We're
but
just
he-
naming just a couple.
Yeah.
But there is
food for
just
thought.
there is like, just think about the sort of pre-natural ability to make passes that don't feel like they make sense.
Yeah.
You know what? It reminds me of like, those games you play on the phone where you're kicking a ball and there's like wind that comes in. The wind changes every time.
Yeah.
That's how it feels for me. Like when I'm on the court, like I'm like seeing a whole play before it happens, and it just happens. It's like a screenshot almost for me. That's how it
So
feels.
the defense is the wind?
Just everything, like that player, this player, that, like all the players on the court, like I'm reading everything, and it just feels like a photo for me, and I just got to like hit that angle, or it's a bounce back, whatever it is. Like that's how I see it.
Yeah.
What about the rule changes defensively? Like, how is your approach, do you feel like, changed over the last couple of years in terms of, you're in a spot where you basically, at various points have to defend 1 through 5, and you have done it at the highest possible level since you've been in the league. But as you're changing your approach to the league, adapting, is there anything that you've thought about doing differently?
I like being physical. I feel like we can't be as physical now. Also, the whistle's a little different based on the jersey we have on right now. So it doesn't feel consistent, So I like to play physical. I enjoy that part of the basketball. So I wish we could be a little bit more physical and it could be a little bit more consistent with that. But
Yeah, I don't think the rules have changed dramatically since I've been in the league the last 5-6 years. But it's a tough thing because we are the best at what we do in terms of basketball, and that also includes trying to cheat as much as possible. So you're always trying to cheat on defense. Like the best defenders foul you the most. It's just they get away with the most. You know what I mean? And then the best offensive guys, or the best, high prolific scorers, are also high prolific free throw shooters because they're good at foul baiting or doing all this and doing all that. So it's definitely a tough job on the referee's behalf. But finding ways as a player to be as efficient as possible in that side of the game, like being able to be physical but like hide it, and then being able to kind of magnify every little bump on the offensive end is what like the best do. And it gets really frustrating at times, right? Because it's just like optics a lot of the times as opposed to what actually happened. But yeah, it's something that you can legitimately like try to study and understand better.
Do you feel like when guys are physical with you enough, there's points where it'll just throw you completely off?
It depends. I wouldn't say it throws you completely off, but it definitely puts a little bit of a wrench into what you're trying to do. Like you think of like Orlando, for example. They're very, very physical.
Yeah.
Even the Clippers yesterday looked
Toronto.
They're physical to disrupt every action. It's like if you have good counters in place, it's probably not as big of a deal. But like if you're just sitting there wrestling with them all game.
But sometimes like some of these guys are super physical, but they're fouling. So it's not. That's
they're not calling it.
Yeah, they're not calling it, and it looks like they're playing good defense.
You're complaining,
like,
whatever. But you can use it against them in some cases too, where so it's a little bit of both. But yeah, man, it's like it's
gonna be hard to.
It's always intense though.
Yeah.
It is. Possessions are intense.
The physicalness thing is funny. We did one of these the other day with Desmond Bain and Jaron. And we were talking about like any rule change. If they could change one thing, it could be Adam Silver for a day. You can change one thing. And they were both like, get rid of the flagrant. The flagrants are way too soft. And they're based, and maybe that's those two being psychos, and also like that team sort of like leans into it.
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's like a prevailing feeling of just let us play how we, you know.
Well, I don't want them to take away the flagrants that protect shooters because I don't want people stepping under my feet.
Who started that? Golden State. What's his name?
Pachulia.
Zaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like but I get that, and the way they play, like they're a physical team. They're one of those disrupt teams where they'll just have somebody like if there's somebody they want to take out of the offense, they'll like face guard you and just try to keep you completely out of it. And they've had some success, a lot of success doing that. So it's like a good strategy that they've implemented. But not surprised that they say that.
So you think it should be a flagrant every time?
Every time what?
Like under a shooter? You think there's some guys that are intentionally doing it and there's some that are just...
That's a good question. No, I don't think it's ever really intentional anymore, especially because you know it's going to be a flagrant. So and there's some guys that have that natural kick forward that land them on a foot. But literally the person on the sideline next to our bench yesterday was asking when there was one called yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And they were like, how's that a flagrant? How's that a flagrant? I'm like, they're just trying to protect shooters' ankles and stuff. But
then that also changes as being a defender. You don't want to close that as close.
Like I said, I like the shooting protection. So
we love that.
So one thing we've all talked about, Jordy. Everybody loves Jordy.
Yeah.
Even guys around the league who have not played for him and then just hear about him, it's just sort of like an A+ across the board. And obviously, the season has been up and down, but I think up in a lot of ways compared even to, maybe what the expectations were going in. As you sort of take stock in him specifically, the staff specifically, what you've been able to accomplish with this particular team this year, what do you feel like they've done with this group that has sort of allowed you to overachieve in a lot of ways?
I think it starts with him expecting everybody to just buy into what they have going on and what the team's about and what they're trying to build, the culture. And he's a competitor. Like I see it all the time. Like he just wants to win. He wants guys to play hard and compete. And I think that's the main thing. When you know your coach wants you to just play hard, like you're going to go out there and play your ass off for him. And that's the same way. He coaches the same way. Like we expect him to coach us in a way where he wants us to play hard and play tough and expects to win. Like he doesn't go into a game and he's sitting there like, all right, guys, go out, enjoy it. Like he wants to win every game, regardless of, if we're playing, one of the best teams or the worst teams. It's the same way.
Yeah. Just to clarify, when we define success in this way, when you said like our season, obviously our expectations as a team were a little bit low coming into the season. And it's not like right now we have the most stellar record, but for us as players, the important thing about it is we feel like, and you can say, you can agree, disagree, whatever, but at least I do, and I think the rest of the team does. We feel like we're building. We feel like, maybe personal players' futures are uncertain, but I don't think it's stopped anybody from buying into what we're doing and trying to build our culture, our chemistry, our depth of knowledge in the right direction. And so like for us as competitors, that's what's important when we step on the court is that our coaches are pushing us. They are responding in ways that resonate with us, and they are putting us in positions to win games and compete and giving us literally just their best effort, which we appreciate. And then when you get into the X's and O's, like I just think he's good at it. And he's good at reaching players where they are, communicating in those ways, and kind of just being stubborn when he needs to be stubborn, getting honest when he needs to get honest, and giving us a little bit of grace when we need that. And so overall, like I would say that it's a positive feeling we have in our locker room because we see potential, we see trust, we see building blocks, and we see just pieces there that can be better. And so it makes it easier to just play in the moment and just play in the moment, compete every game, and let the results be the results.
Well, I feel like that's a good example of this is, by and large, no matter who's on the court, the games are competitive.
Yeah.
And you got these guys coming in, from all over the place.
Yeah.
G League, pulling up. Sometimes you don't know who's playing, but then you're playing Milwaukee and you're down 2 with 30 seconds left, and it's Giannis and Dame across from you, and they're playing their ass off. And so that feels like from the outside looking in, went to a lot of games last year. Brooklyn games last year, and not throwing shade or anything like that, but I'm like, the culture feels completely different.
Our morale was low. It was just
Yeah.
tough across the board.
Yeah.
And so we're in a position where we're taking a lot of pride in what we do, and just bringing those good vibes back and that morale back and that just competitive fire that it's not always going to be a great result. And the guys that that have played significant minutes, they all compete. Like, as we're watching on the sidelines and if we've been out or if, out of the game or whatever, out of not playing that day or just simply out of the game, you see individual guys across the board giving high levels of effort. And I see a lot of development from guys on our team because of that. And we try to tell them, like, this is invaluable to your careers. Like, these opportunities to play extended minutes, the opportunity to go out there and compete, the opportunity to see as much as you're seeing, like, these are valuable minutes. And I think a lot of guys are really making the most of it. And like I said, with it, there's all sorts of noise comes out about teams, and hardly any of it is ever true. Like, we know what goes on in our own locker room, and we are comfortable with
it's a content machine.
With continuing to push our limits.
You gotta fill. You gotta fill it with something.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And it just is like we talk about this all the time. We talk about it with Sue.
Yeah, it's very disconnected.
Yeah, it just is that you need to figure out.
Yeah.
There's an ecosystem that needs to be filled with takes. It needs to be filled with something. And usually, unfortunately, and this is not unique to sports, but we're talking about it in a sports context. It needs to be filled with controversy. So if we decide right now we're going to go in on somebody, like, we're just going to, like, that's going to,
let's do it.
I was going to say,
yeah.
but that'll do triple the numbers. I mean, we see this. I don't even want to
let's do it. Nah,
it is just a sideshow.
Yeah.
And so there is a sense of, it doesn't mean it shouldn't happen, but it also just means, like, if it's not getting to you, it's not getting to you.
Right.
But it also ties back to the, like, it's the things that make our league go round, and this is part of it, part of the business. Chalk it up to the business.
Yeah.
So what comes with it?
Do you guys have a piece of advice that was given to you at any point? It doesn't have to even be from another player, but, like, that you feel like prepared you the best for this whole experience
Of, like, professional sports?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say basketball in particular, not just, but just
like,
your pro experience.
This is digging back, but ever since I was a little kid, my dad would always tell me, darn near every day, to whom much is given, much is expected. And in our business, I think that is magnified 100 times over now. And you're given a lot as an NBA player, whether it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of accountability, monetary, whatever it is. Like, you're on your own a lot more. And you are really responsible for self a lot more than any other sport environment you ever played in. And so, to whom much is given, much is expected, whether it's, the talent you've been given, the position on a team you've been given, like, you're going to have high expectations with that. And that's just what comes with it. And so you kind of, again, ties into everything we've been talking about today, but that's just handle your business.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. For me, it's just being a good person and staying true to who you are. Like when we step away from this game, it's like I'm not a basketball player. I'm Ben, the person,
the fisherman,
the fisherman, the angler. But yeah, I think that's so important. Like when we aren't playing, like when we're done with this, like he's about to go do what he does. Like everyone, we all have our own lives. Like I think just being a good person is very important. You should just never lose that.
Yeah, man. Great conversation today. I appreciate you joining us, Tommy. I appreciate you having me as always. And like you said, man, there's tons of sides to us that people don't always see. So it's cool to kind of give them a little glimpse from time to time. So Ben, thank you for doing that. And thank you for being open and sharing with us. Tommy, appreciate you as always, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome back to The Draft, presented by our friends at New Era. Thanks again to our friends at New Era for supporting The Draft and all of the Young Man and 3 content. We have more stuff coming with them very shortly. Use one-time code YOUNGMAN, YOUNGMAN, at checkout to enjoy 20% off any order at neweracap.com. That's YOUNGMAN at checkout to enjoy 20% off any order at neweracap.com. Our draft topic today, Jason, you picked it. Can you explain it?
Sure. Simple concept. Which NBA players would you least like to be stuck in an elevator with, both current and former?
Great.
That is the draft topic today.
Great topic. Trey, you start. I know you got a bunch of choices.
My first pick is going to be Larry Nance. He's annoying. He talks too much. He's a large human being. And so he'll just be in the way. And so, yeah, I would not like to be in the elevator with Larry Nance.
He's like a fair pick. Good at picking nicknames. He's good at picking nicknames, though. Let's just go.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear him picking nicknames while we're in an elevator. Actually, I would rather he just not say anything, and he won't be able to do that. So,
okay. Like it. I'm going one. I'm going John Stockton.
Dude,
I don't want to hear the conspiracy theories and the vaccine and blah, blah, and just I don't want politics in the elevator, especially not some of the shit he's going to say. So I wouldn't want to be in an elevator with him for 2 minutes, much less an hour.
That's fair. It's fair. For my first pick, I have a very strategic mindset here. So my first pick, I'm going to go with Shaq. He's too big. It's an elevator. There's only so much room. It has nothing to do with his personality. It has nothing to do with him. But I don't want to be in an elevator with Shaq. That's it.
That's a fair point when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
My second pick. Let me see here. Okay. Now, a lot of people might pick annoying people like Trey, doesn't want to hear people talk.
Okay, here we go.
No. I'm just saying like that's not necessarily my strategy. I want talkers in the elevator. We gotta pass the time. So with that being said, my second pick is going to be Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to sit there and just have awkward stares, and I just got to be able to vibe with the person a little bit, and I can't see he and I having much of a fruitful conversation. So that's my second pick.
That's interesting. I feel like it'd be lovely in an elevator with Kawhi. It's like a Zen state.
Not
stuck. He's not going to say He's not going to say anything. So you might as well be there solo. What do you think, Trey?
I'm not going to say anything because it's leading into my picks. So I'm going to let you just make your pick, and then
okay,
yeah,
fair
I'm
enough.
not going to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Second pick, I'm going to go with Adam Morrison of Gonzaga fame, because he does not take showers or does not shower frequently. So I do not think that would be a fun thing to be in an elevator with.
It's fair.
All right. For my pick, I'm gonna pick Karl Malone, and this is solely based off of my slam dunk contest experience. So, I won't say anything else after that. But yeah, Karl Malone for one of my picks, and then the other pick would probably be.
What was your slam dunk experience?
Yeah.
You really want me to relive this right now?
Did he give you a bad grade?
You said it. He gave you a bad grade?
Y'all didn't watch the slam dunk contest when I was in it?
We did. I just don't live and breathe your
I
slam
don't
dunk
remember
contest.
that.
Jesus Christ.
He gave me like a 46. He gave me a 46 on a dunk that I don't even think has been done.
46 out of 50.
Correct.
That's not like that low.
When everybody else gave out 50s and 49.
I will go with Trey on. It takes a lot to get them to not give people 50s. It seems like they just give everything 50s. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jason.
No problem.
Goodness gracious.
Fair. All right, Trey, take your.
And then for my second pick, well, my second pick in the round, I'm gonna pick probably Boban. I have the opposite theory from Jason when it comes to being in an elevator. I don't want to talk or say anything at all. We can just sit there in silence and just, do whatever we're doing and then go on about our days, split wherever we need to split. So I feel like Boban is also large and would also talk a lot. Love Boban off of it, like as a person, great guy.
He
Don't
is
want that
large and would talk a lot. You're going to get both of those things. The size thing is a good call out in a small elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. My third pick, I'm going to go with Royce White, who's now a MAGA guy running for senator. He only played one game in the NBA. He seems like he's completely out of his mind. I don't think he was when he was playing in the league, but he also wouldn't get on planes or anything, which is maybe why he only played one game. But he just doesn't seem like a very pleasant guy, and so I don't really want to be stuck in an elevator with him.
I think that's pretty fair. Okay. For my third pick, I am basing this solely off of voice. It has nothing to do with personality. You know what? I'm sure some people like the voice. My third pick is going to be Reggie Miller. I find his voice to be extremely grating, and I would not enjoy being in an elevator with him. So yeah, that's my third pick.
It's funny is Jason's pick, or Jason has like a Hall of Fame roster that he does not want to be
starting five
in.
is pretty good.
They're like really good. And they like fit well together too.
Yeah, that's true. So I think I'm about to blow that up a little bit. So my fourth pick, guy named Cliff Robinson. I have like early memories of a Bill Simmons mailbag in which he references Cliff Robinson. Because on Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley was talking, and he was talking about how players sometimes shower very quickly, and he referenced a phrase called the Cliff Robinson shower. And he was eventually, like 10 years later, Charles was asked, "What did you mean by the Cliff Robinson shower?" And he said, "It's just, you don't really shower. You basically just walk under the water and walk out." And I imagine that is not a pleasant smell. So that's my answer. Cliff Robinson. Shout out Bill, and shout out Charles.
I like it. It's a great reason. My fourth pick, I'm going to go with George Niang. I think it's a little bit of Trey's Larry Nance logic. Also, he has a temper. And I think that if we did not get out of the elevator in a speedy manner, he would try to do something drastic and potentially get us killed and or make the process longer at getting us out. I don't think he would handle it well. So that is it would not end well if he was in the elevator with me.
Let's see. For my fourth pick, I'm going to go with Richard Jefferson. Talkative guy. Another guy that likes to hate a lot on things when there's no necessary need to be hating on things. So elevator ride and conversation with him probably would be great. And then for my last pick, see, I feel like there's been a theme with all of them, and probably Najee Marshall. You know, he's probably my last pick for a person I would not want to be on the elevator with, because once again, he likes to punch people, and he's very heavy-handed, and it's just random times he would just be punching me and stuff like that. So I don't think that'd be very, very fun. And then also to he's lactose intolerant, so you can piece together what that entails.
So what's funny is I would actually pay to see you guys locked in an elevator together.
True.
I think that would be hilarious content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I think he's also claustrophobic too. So then, like, if anything happens, like,
how was that not your first pick? That's funny.
Yeah, I knew you. I knew you guys would pick it. So,
all right. I think for my fifth pick, I'm going to go with Javaris Crittenden.
Oh wow. I don't think you even have to explain anything, Jason. I think you can just.
I just don't think it would be. I don't think. Yeah, next pick. I just don't want to be in the elevator with him.
Fair. I will. You know what? I'm kind of surprised this player's still there, and only because, for obvious reasons. I'm just gonna go. My fifth pick is Dylan Brooks. I don't know that would be an enjoyable experience. I have no idea. Don't know him.
Interesting.
Don't know anything about him, but he might. I don't know.
You might love him by the end now.
Intense.
Everyone who plays with him loves him.
Yeah. No, that's great. But I don't play with him, so I don't know. All I know is what's on the court.
He might blame you. He might blame Jason for you being in this predicament.
Exactly. And I don't want to get, I don't want to get blamed.
That's fair. Jason has a really good team.
Yeah, my team's solid.
Yeah, really good.
If we have to play our way out of the elevator, we're winning.
I kind of surprised he wasn't picked, but I didn't want to pick him because I actually think it would be pretty entertaining. But being in an elevator with Rodman,
yeah.
Like he just would have a lot of stories. Like it might get old after a while, but it would probably be awesome for the first hour. Some of it also depends on just the amount of time.
That's a good point. I was thinking about, annoying play. Like, would I go the annoying route? Like, again, annoying seemingly on the court, whatever you want to say. And I referenced, Chris Paul early in the pod. And then I realized, no, Chris Paul is probably the player I'd most want to be stuck in an elevator with for the reason for the Wemby jump ball. Like, he would figure out how to get out.
Yeah,
like,
you get out quick.
Get out like that. And
so
I want a strategist in my corner there. So.
Well done, fellas. Thank you for listening. We got a great episode next week. See you then.